Joe Jorgensen, never heard of him, Libertarian Party. Someone who actually wants to remove government bloat. What Republicans claim to do, which is the biggest joke of the political party in the U.S. That would explain that don't really follow libertarians. Only Gary Johnson. Yeah, I remember Gary Johnson. Asshole to the Beyond Mob. I apologize for the political dumpster fire. Oh no. This is basically the Heinz chat, so it is perfectly welcome. I'm usually saying crazier shit than that. If you're familiar with my work, you know. So yeah, definitely a perfectly acceptable conversation. I wouldn't say I'm usually talking about 9/11, but I mean I'm usually talking about. Usually, unfortunately, people just know me now. So okay, this is one memory card. People just know me now, so well, I wouldn't say that's unfortunate, but people come to me and ask me the questions on purpose, such as yourself. So I'm constantly getting baited into talking about it. See, Husky knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, how about you try and convince SS? No, it's 7. It's 7. You're right. WTC 7. It's 7. I mean, they're all weird, but 7 is very weird. Yeah, how about you try and convince SS that WTC7 is a controlled demolition, because I have yet been unsuccessful. Yeah, it's WTC7. Yeah, the buildings that like collapsed completely were, the entire compound was damaged, obviously, but it was WTC1 and 2, which is the North and South Tower, and WTC7, which was, there was other names for that building, I can't remember, the Lehman Brothers building, there was, yeah, I think was one of the names, they had a couple other names for the building, but anyway, so my point is, perfectly acceptable to talk about politics. My current possibilities as far as the... Well, yeah, no, of course there's some design. Well, okay, here we go. Hang on, let me just. Thursday, this should be okay. The intro shouldn't matter, so we'll test it like this. This should be okay. Yeah, but it didn't need a plane. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So how about I've done this enough. I'm resting my vocal cords and my noggin. But yeah, it's definitely. I would say I understand what you're saying. And it's not only that, but it's actually also designed to, at least some of the buildings, or at least the 2 main towers, were said to be built to withstand the impact of a jetliner, which is exactly what happened, oddly enough. And then they blew up. They like exploded. So anyway, but that's neither here nor there. As far as the election goes, I'm working with a couple theories. I at first thought that Trump was going to win again for sure, because, spoilers, I don't think that there is really an election. I think that it's mostly theater. Actually, I think it's completely theater. And this is Friday, and because of that, I think that the winner is more or less pre-appointed, and they just kind of play it out and give you whatever numbers they want to justify it, and so that they can, create the whole psychodrama on TV, which is more or less what they do anyway. And but for a long time, I thought that they would just do Trump again, because he's just so useful as like a political tool. But now, okay, here's one for you. Here's one. Fuck. Oh, I'm definitely getting this video. I got you guys. I got something for you guys. It blew my mind. And I'm like, I still don't know what to make of it, so I'm not making an assumption, but I want to know what other people think. I stumbled on a video of Kamala Harris appearing on some like Fox News show or something like that. I can't remember what it was. And it does not look like Kamala Harris. And of course, the person who uploaded the video said, proof that Kamala Harris got plastic surgery. I don't think it's plastic surgery. I think it's just not her. Like, that's like my best guess is it's just not her. But it was a very eerie video. But my guess is, my alternative is that Kamala Harris will be selected as the VP, and Biden will win and he will die. Or be somehow... And then it'll be President Kamala. Because she's, yeah, oh my god, she's awful. She's like a worse Clinton for sure. Awful, awful, awful. I'll see if I can find that video after this run, though. Hopefully this works. No, because she's not black. So she can't be the front runner. Wait a minute, this is Saturday. Hang on, I just got to keep track of these days. No, that's exactly how he's been talking about it, though. And that's exactly what people have been pushing him to do. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. Maybe you think that he'll talk about it, but he won't. Yeah, I'm not saying that I think he certainly will. I can't predict any of these things because, like I say, I think part of the psychodrama is creating a whole bunch of noise around it, so you honestly never know what to expect or which way is up. But again, this is Sunday. So Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This should be Sunday. I can't remember the other lady. Susan Rice was the other black woman who was variously talked about recently as the pick. But yeah. Monday. This is one of the waifu endings, so we get to make out with Gwen at the end of this. She's definitely a babe. She's one of the top picks. She's kind of the tsundere type, but they're honestly there's probably like there's at least like 2 tsunderes in this. Although I know there's like subtypes of tsundere, and I don't know them all, so I'm not a fucking weeb, so I don't know. Michelle Obama, oh my god. I think it's funny how Barack Obama just kind of like quietly stepped out of everything. I mean, you don't really hear from Obama anymore. I mean, he's just not in the limelight. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I suppose that's one way to put it. Is that because he knows he's a war criminal? What do you mean? What do you mean throwing sneaky jabs? So if this is true, this would be proof that weather actually affects conversation gains, and that means I have to do more testing. God damn it! You know, I've read I've heard a lot of hoopla about the Ghislaine Maxwell thing. I can't claim to have. I've heard talk about it on NPR. Unfortunately, I'm still dumb enough to listen to NPR in the fucking car. I'm not talking shit about anybody who listens to NPR, but it's been a bit. it's been a bit tough to listen to in recent months, simply because they basically don't shut up about the same fucking shit constantly. But they were talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, and I don't know much about the whole situation. I just know kind of the basics. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like Obama's John Lewis speech, Obama has been making slights at him. Oh yeah, the John Lewis. He was that guy, the senator that died, or? Yeah, I'm not surprised. Okay, so I should get the cutscene now, please. As long as I don't get rain on the next time. It's supposed to be Friday. Got it. Okay. Oh shit, I should have a spreadsheet for this. Damn. Hang on. Okay, so she doesn't get anything for that. Okay, that's okay. I can kind of track this. It's actually gonna be kind of tricky. This is what day? This is Friday. So, okay. So I should get it after the next. Cutscene 2 is just, I think she just shows up outside your house. I don't think you have to do anything for this. I keep... Like, yeah. The game is kind of just about tiny optimizations, like only leaving your house when you know that you need to. I don't remember this ending very well. Yeah, I can't tell, like, how much... Because, okay, what's interesting to me about the whole Epstein thing is this was kind of a thing, if you remember, a few years ago, like, I want to say around 2016, I want to say around the other election, about the whole Pizzagate thing. Everybody remember Pizzagate? Remember how everyone said, oh, it's bullshit, it's not true, this is all conspiracy theory, none of these people are really pedophiles, blah, blah, blah? You know, I kind of don't know what to conclude about that. I've kind of gone both ways on it, and I haven't really thought much about it in recent years, but now all of a sudden this Epstein shit is coming out, and they're not really covering it up as much, or they're at least not, like, going as hard as far as, like, ridiculing people who think that our world leaders are pedophiles or who are promoting this idea, because that's obviously the underlying implication of all of this. And it's never actually really stated super loud and clear in the media. Sunday, I think. It's never really stated super loud and clear that the implication is these people are all pedophiles, but obviously that's like... I guess, okay, here's the one thing I will say to that SS is, you understand these people all control... You're kind of acting on the assumption that the media is actually some, like, independent agency that actually, like, does real investigative journalism, which they don't. They're just the propaganda arm of the government. So whatever the media, part of like what influences a lot of what I think is, the media tells you what they're told to tell you. So if they're being loud about all these things, there's some reason for it, and usually it's to mislead you or misdirect you. So I don't know what that means in this case. Why would they be trying to draw attention to the fact that their world leaders are fucking pedophiles? I don't know. I couldn't begin to tell you. I'm not sure what really means, but I guess so. But you didn't really address what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they don't report on anything that they're not told to. And because of the short attention span of most people, they can report on something else and just cover it up if they wanted to, if it was genuine and it was like a real. So I don't know. So that's where I'm like kind of confused. I'm like, well, wait a minute. It seems like Pizzagate's real, and it seems like these people are all fucked up enough to probably have sex with kids and whatever. But at the same time, it also seems like they would be, you know, reporting on anything else because motherfuckers will just, people just think about whatever there is like going on around them. So the news is just noise for people to just fill thoughts and just fill empty space in people's heads. So they'll think about whatever, not just people will think whatever you tell them to think. They'll spend their mental energy, you know, contemplating whatever you put in front of them. Tuesday, Wednesday, this should be Wednesday. Shit, see the only problem. It shouldn't matter though because I just. About having Epstein? What do you mean having Epstein? I hope I didn't miss the cutscene. I don't think I did. Yeah, it's 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, wait a minute. This is Wednesday, like I said, so tomorrow's Thursday. Okay, but I can, it's raining, so I can go. No, and I know, and there was some ring of pedophilic leaders in, I can't remember what European country that was outed some years ago. This was actually, like, apparently, I mean, it was reported on. I found, like, actual news reports of it, so can't remember where it was, but. No, it wasn't the UK because it wasn't about like the royal family. It was some other, not. It wasn't an Anglophone country. I can't remember. Yeah, I know. I've heard all the fucking horror stories about the fucking, you know, the Buckingham Palace or whatever. Long live the Queen. It's Thursday. Sorry, this is just really annoying to keep track of these days. Large part of the media is complicit in spreading the propaganda of the elite. Fox News was created for the very purpose of pushing. Hang on. Friday was created for the very purpose of pushing conservative propaganda, but I think the elite also controlled the news by generating other actual events to cover, like bombings. Well, yeah, exactly. They create the events to cover. Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, bombs in, or explosions in, what was it the other day? We were talking about this SS. Fuck, what was it? Can't remember the country now. Can't remember, drawing a blank, but yeah. Probably manufactured in some way. Not saying the explosion wasn't real, just saying Lebanon. Yeah. Don't know why I'm thinking yeah. In my opinion, as soon as I saw it, I thought, I wonder who planted the bombs there. A bomb has been planted at the base. Yeah. Explosion bomb. Okay, is this Friday? I should be able to tell what day it is. It's Saturday? Like, I think it's Saturday. It is. It has to be Saturday. Yeah, it's Saturday. Oh, no. Actually, it doesn't have to be Saturday because... Parsley... Shit, there's actually no way to tell Wednesday from Saturday. Is there a way to tell Wednesday from Saturday? Even down here, I don't think there is. Oh, wait, yes, there is. It would be if Joe fishes. So if Joe comes here, then I know it's Wednesday. And I had to wait here till 7 p.m. anyway. Okay, cool. So this is now we can chat, I guess, because I have to wait for a cutscene now, and I have to wait all the way till Sunday, or till not Sunday, till 7 p.m. Okay, what are we? It wasn't really a bomb. It just absolutely retarded storage of hazardous materials. They've known for years that it was a problem. It didn't do anything. It's in plain sight of the warehouse at ground level. If you look at videos of the explosion, it blew the soil hundreds of meters up. That's how physics works. Wait. Yeah. I will admit I haven't watched the video, so I can't really like make any conjecture about the nature of it really. But the reason why I don't watch the video is because I make the assumption that I make the assumption that whatever is being reported on is probably a distraction, and I just try not to like focus too hard on it. Obviously it's suspicious, but so like you made the comment about Fox News, and yeah, I agree that Fox News is a propaganda outlet, but like I've spent a lot of time watching CNN and Fox, not a lot of time, but like I've watched the news as much as anybody else, and I've lived with my grandma at various points, both my grandparents at various times throughout my life. They tended to watch conservative media outlets such as Fox News, and my parents watched CNN. And the older that I've gotten and the more that or you know, especially now, it's like I'll get YouTube clips suggested from both media outlets. So maybe I'll watch one or the other. I don't really watch TV anymore, and my grandma at least doesn't really watch the news at all anymore. But especially when my grandpa was alive, they would watch a lot of it, or it would just be on the TV. And the older I've gotten, the less of a difference I see between them. They are almost indistinguishable from each other to me, in my opinion. And that I find kind of curious, simply because of the fact that it is presented as an otherwise like it's Saturday. Okay, good to know. Because okay, Lewis is the other way that you can tell it's Saturday. Okay, what do you mean by that? So are you telling me that like Anderson Cooper is just like a covert conservative? And let's just make the assumption that the words liberal and conservative actually mean what we think they mean, because I'm not really convinced of that anymore either. I don't really know what to make of that, what to make of the labels, but to the extent that they I don't know, that they just label two sides of this, whatever this spectrum is that we're looking at. I actually don't think it's a spectrum anymore. If I ever thought that, I'm not really sure. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm What do you mean? I guess I'm not informed enough about Roger Ailes, but yeah, I'm curious about that take then, because I don't see how I see them as kind of pushing division from different angles, but it's ultimately the same. I try and focus on what they agree about. And they agree on a whole lot of things, and usually those things are lies too, because they're paid to lie. They're both propaganda outlets. So yeah, it is just sort of weird. But yeah, I actually in some ways I find liberal media, so-called liberal media, less tolerable, only because a lot of times they do a lot of crying over like bullshit, like just divisive issues, just dividing you usually along race, gender, and sexual orientation. And they just like constantly hammer that. And so I find that a little bit harder to just listen to passively. I don't watch any of it, but I just find it a little bit harder to. Whereas with like conservative outlets, to me, they're speaking a lot of common sense about certain things. But of course, it depends on the anchor. I mean, like Tucker Carlson, for example, I find him sort of intolerable in a lot of ways. But that doesn't mean that I don't think that he says some common sense things sometimes. Okay, that was Saturday, so I should be back at the house. Yep. Okay. Okay, this is actually going decently well. Sunday. Yeah, he's Cancer, dude. He's definitely Cancer, but I don't know. But he does. I mean, I try and give credit where credit is due. You know, the conservative. I actually, I mean, to be fair, the conservative media outlets have gained a lot of traction among young people more than you would think, because even though young people are seen as primarily liberal, or whatever you want to think of them as, I'm not sure if liberal is the right word, but they identify with a lot of stereotypically liberal causes. Some of those causes are completely crazy. Oh no, I'm sure he did used to work for MSNBC, and that's not uncommon. You see a lot of trading between liberal and conservative media outlets over the past couple decades. So they're all kind of cut from the same cloth, is more or less what I'm saying. Monday. Okay, that's 15. I should have only 3 more. Yeah, okay, this run's basically over. Awesome. Okay, I'm probably not going to do another run of this. This wasn't like the cleanest, and I think I might have made one mistake, but it cost me almost no time. Anyway, I think that conservative media outlets have actually gained a lot of traction. Tell me I didn't just fuck that up. What day is this? I think this is Monday. It is Monday, because that was rainy Sunday. Yeah. Because some of the liberal causes now are just completely crazy. And it's like, okay, you know, boys can be girls and girls can be, like, kind of the transgender stuff that I think a lot of people think is kind of crazy, because it sort of is. You know, I don't want to, you know, tell people how to live their lives, but there are certain fundamental, like, sort of foundations of some of those ways of thinking that are kind of, there's at least some dispute to be had, and I think the liberal perspective on those can tend to be sort of haughty and holier than thou about, you know, how righteous they are, kind of. Tuesday, Wednesday. And anyway, so because of that, I think that some young people who rightfully see that as kind of insane turn to conservative media, and so that's where you get kind of the outgrowth, honestly the explosion of people like Ben Shapiro, trying to think of some others, like Joe Rogan is kind of one of those. And I'll be honest, the algorithm clearly thinks that I'm a Rogan guy. I get those types of recommendations. I'm in that camp, kind of. Now, I don't watch Joe Rogan because I have my own issues with him, but it's not just like tone. It actually is. It's not about policy either, because ultimately they all kind of promote the same policies. You have to look at the things that they don't disagree on. The things that they never disagree on, pretty much, are matters of war and science. And we could talk about science. I don't really want to like get super like intense about it, because that's kind of like what me and SS debate about most of the time, and what we were talking about a lot tonight as well. And that's basically, they're both trying to push government intervention in your life as much as possible from just two different vantage points. And they definitely don't disagree about the war. So, even though you have like Bernie out here saying like, "Oh, we gotta stop fighting these wars," it's funny because we are still fighting them, you know. And that's great. Okay, that should be the last one. You can hit me up on Discord if you want. I do have a Discord. I should have Discord linked in my on my channel, but I don't. But if you want, you're welcome to hit me up on Discord. I have a lot of like crazier thoughts than most of what I'm sharing right now. It's just that it's like it's like kind of extensive. It goes pretty far. Yeah, that's a very good point, Husky, and that's exactly what you should really ask yourself. You should really scratch your head, because that's yeah. The key to it, at least initially, is we're not trying to accomplish what they say that we're trying to accomplish. So, whether it's protecting us from terrorism or spreading democracy or whatever it's been, it's just costing you money, costing American lives, and it's war without end. So we've been, and that's like, in some sense, I see a lot of the last 20 years as just a massive distraction away from the fact that we've been fighting wars since all of us. I mean, I don't know how old you are, Husky, but me and Hellrain are, approximately 28, 29 years old, maybe almost 30, pushing 30 at least. We've been in the Middle East since we were born. So, and it's like, okay, 9/11 happened, so that was like 20 years ago. We've been fighting that war since then. However, we were really in the Middle East before that. Since I'm trying to think, what's it called? The Gulf War, right? Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure that was a Middle Eastern conflict. Anyway, or Operation Desert Storm, whatever it is, right? In the 90s, right? And a lot of people, that doesn't really get talked about, but it's been this prolonged military conflict for pushing 30 years. Well, maybe it made sense the way that it was presented. I don't know enough about Kuwait, I can't say. But yeah, exactly. Since we were about, I was 9 when, well, no, probably not since you were 10. Because we went into Iraq, well, wait a minute, when was, I don't remember when the WMD thing was. I think that was like 04. So you might have been a bit older. Because we went into Afghanistan at first. At first it was just, we gotta beat Al-Qaeda. And that was like 2001, 2002, 2003. And remember, we didn't kill Osama. Wait, did I just lose power? Lights just went out. Actually, wait a minute. Nope. Okay, that must just be the light bulb. Damn it, dude. The light bulb? Rip. Alright, but I thought that we didn't go into Iraq until the whole WMD controversy, which wasn't until a little bit later. But in any case, you're right. To me, it's basically all the same. It's been one country after another, and it's basically been like 7 Middle Eastern countries. Now, I would encourage anybody who wants to understand this is what me and SS were basically disputing right before you guys showed up. Maybe Husky was listening to this a little bit. 9/11 is 100% a conspiracy, and I use the word conspiracy kind of ironically. I know that's the word that gets thrown around, but that is actually the accurate term. Well, the wool was pulled over everyone's eyes. War was waged based on lies, and the buildings were blown up. And it was a staged terrorist attack with foreknowledge in which the parties pointed the finger at somebody else, and they blew up their own buildings, sorry to say. So, you don't have to go down every last rabbit hole, and that doesn't necessarily, but I think that's one just for people to understand, because it gives you an idea of the fact that that kind of narrative, that kind of overarching, cohesive narrative, okay, hang on, is, is something that Democrats and Republicans don't disagree about. And they both insisted very, very vehemently and consistently on those same issues. So you got to look at what's actually bipartisan. It's not the things that you would like it to be, like actually looking out for people, taking care of the country, taking care of people at home. That's never a bipartisan issue. They always have to quibble about that. But they can always agree about not only the wars themselves, but actually about what the kind of the events, the impetus behind the war. Well, of course it did. That was the point. That was why the event was staged. Let me read my notes here. I could do cake contest too, because I just did Kratom. You guys got to get into Kratom. Kratom is just the best. It's like, quit smoking weed like a while ago now. Although, I mean, I smoke weed, but Kratom is just... Well, if by staged... Okay, maybe when I say staged, you're reading like fake, like didn't actually happen. It obviously happened. The buildings were blown up. Dude, your brother knows what's up, because Kratom, yeah, Kratom is the best, honestly. I love Kratom. My brother got me into Kratom maybe 3 years ago, and it just completely, it's the best. Anyway, yeah, so I don't mean it's staged like it's, like it was all CGI. I just mean it was set up. No, that's true. Actually, it's funny. I've never puked from Kratom, although early on when I started taking it, hang on, do I just sleep 7 days? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm really surprised this isn't sub 40. Yeah, I've never puked, but when I first started taking it, I did not understand like how the dosage worked, and it has a weird. It's definitely, if you hear the way people describe it, it's basically a stimulant, kind of at lower doses, very mild stimulant at lower doses, and more of a sedative at higher doses, and that boundary is like narrower than you think, and especially if you don't like know your own dosage, because obviously different people are different. Then you can very easily end up transgressing that boundary, and you don't get the effect that you were looking for. Because most people aren't really taking it for the sedative effect. You can take it to sleep, but I mean, it's not going to keep you awake. It's not that type of stimulant, but it is stimulating in that way. Anyway, so I definitely got the spins one time, a couple times early on when I was taking it. But that's also because I was smoking weed with it, and that was, to me nowadays, I just think of that as a waste of time, because it just dulls the entire experience. And Kratom's great. But yeah, I had a friend, a girl that I gave some Kratom, and I gave her like, I swear, like 2 grams or less, and she actually puked. It was like, I felt really bad, but she asked for it, so I was like, I'm always trying to get people into Kratom. Yeah, you guys are. It is 3:30. Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. How is weed schedule 1? It won't be for very much longer. But I mean, it's just all it speaks to is that the laws are what suits the government, and then they come up with the rationale behind that after the fact. So I don't know all the reasons why it suited them to make it Schedule 1 at the time, but it did, and so then they came up with their reasoning, and we've all heard the reasoning. The reasoning is, it's fucking dangerous, it's highly addictive, it's a gateway drug, it's deadly, or all these things, whatever it would be. None of those things are true, but it suited them at the time to, I don't know, use it to make a lot of, yeah, probably that, but also, I think they made a shit-ass ton of money. Now, I think they can make a lot of money now by legalizing it, and they will. But I don't know what state you live in, but I'm a Michigander, and it's well, yeah, he may have pushed it in that direction, but that's also kind of what I'm getting at when I talk about um, the government and kind of the false pretenses. Is it's never the president that did it. The president is, in some sense, just the face of whatever cadre of people want certain policies or want to push the country in a certain way or use people and use the population, especially their tax dollars, in a certain way. So, yeah, but you could say certainly the Reagan or the Nixon administration did those things. But it's not clear to me who really was behind it or what their reasons might have been. Probably a lot of reasons. Now, we also know that the CIA flooded a lot of areas of the country, especially poor areas of the country, with hard drugs, and they've been involved in that kind of trafficking behind the scenes for a while. Meanwhile, they're telling everybody how bad drugs are for you. Okay, well, but you're the ones getting people addicted to drugs, and of course, you know, some of those drugs are very powerful, and curiosity can kill the cat. You just, have the interest to try the drug once, and some of these drugs, obviously, no matter what Dare told you or how stupid Dare might be, some of the drugs are very addictive and very deadly. I've watched a lot of very interesting interviews with ex-heroin addicts, and some of them are very sad stories. And in some sense, the opioid crisis now has been completely manufactured because the chemists and pharmacists who develop these opiate drugs, because all these heroin addicts start off on prescription drugs, but they know how powerful and how dangerously addictive the drugs are, but they overprescribe them anyway, or at least they instruct doctors to prescribe them in a certain way. I don't know exactly how much the doctors know about like how this is happening or why they're insisting on or why they're doing what otherwise on the outside looks like a big mistake, like prescribing a lot of these drugs. But they also do what the pharmacies or what the drug companies tell them a lot of times, or they just don't ask questions. So anyway, so that's this whole weird thing. So, but yeah, with weed, they'll legalize it. What I was gonna say is it's already legal recreationally in Michigan, and I think it's legal recreationally in I don't know how many states, but quite a few, like definitely like 15 or 20. Yeah, but they've been around for a while, and the crisis has been ongoing, and you also wonder where all the black tar heroin comes from. I guess that would be my next question. Is okay if the CIA admits that they, flooded poor areas with crack cocaine, and we're just gonna. This is PB, so hi YouTube. Gotta love it. Gwen. So cute.